Hi, I'm Steve and welcome to my kitchen. Today I want to talk about the history of no-knead bread. The surprising thing is our ancestors have been making no-knead bread for years.
For example, here's a 1739 recipe for making French bread, which was published in The Complete Housewife, which states, "Stir it about with your hand, but by no means knead it." The first breads were simple mixtures of grain and water baked on a stone. They were no-knead flatbreads. The recipes have been refined and are still popular today. Then, natural airborne yeast found the dough, and our ancient ancestors discovered yeast bread, which led to domesticating grains, diversification, and kneading. With the introduction of kneading into the world of bread making, there was a blending of kneading with no-knead. For example, when we think of kneading, we typically think of a baker kneading one loaf at a time, but that wasn't always possible when making bread in large batches. They didn't have machines. They used bread troughs. This technique is still used today, especially in rural Europe, where water is measured by the pitcher, flour is scooped and measured with a plate, and yeast and salt are measured in the palm of your hand, or a teacup, stirred with a paddle, and then combined by pushing the fist into the dough and twisting. Obviously, the dough was too massive to knead in the traditional sense. In essence, it was a semi-no-knead process used prior to bulk fermentation, after which they would knead, fold, and shape the dough prior to second proofing. In other words, no-knead breads have always been in the background. In the mid-1930s, Doris Grant advocated healthy ingredients and published a no-knead whole wheat bread recipe. We call it the Grant Loaf. In 1945, Pillsbury published a booklet called Baking the No-Knead Way. The Milwaukee Journal published We Don't Need to Knead Bread Now. Experts Show New Method. And more recently, the no-knead method of making bread was popularized in the U.S. in 2006 when the New York Times published a recipe from Jim Leahy's cookbook, My Bread. Like many of you, I thought it was essential to knead bread, and I tried making bread several times. It just didn't work. Then in 2009, with the close help of a friend, I made my first successful loaf. They were rosemary appetizer loaves, inspired by Romano's macaroni grill. And in 2011, my wife saw a no-knead ciabatta bread recipe in the newspaper. I tried it. I was hooked and never looked back. I started making no-knead bread on a daily basis and decided to make a video. Bought a camera and software, filmed Introduction to No-Knead Bread, and downloaded it in February 2012. It was a real learning experience. I got 139 views the first month. Certainly nothing special, but it was a hobby. I loved making no-knead bread, loved experimenting with the recipes, and continued making videos.
As I posted more and more videos, I started getting comments, which gave me insight into the needs of others. In response to their needs, I developed new methods and techniques.
The number one request from my subscribers was shorter proofing times. In response, I developed no-knead turbo bread. It's ready to bake in 2.5 hours. The number one baking vessel for bread is the bread pan. The most common baking vessel for no-knead bread is the Dutch oven. So I developed no-knead recipes with ingredients, baking times, and temperatures specifically designed for the bread pan. When I was developing recipes and testing bread pans, I was baking 5 loaves a day. So I designed recipes and technique for making batches. It's ideal for restaurants, bake sales, and family reunions. We use it to make bread for the local animal shelters events. It has become a very popular silent auction item.
My dear friends, you should have seen the first time I made a batch of dough. The bucket was filled up to here. I took the old bucket, I turned it upside down, and I had one hell of a mess. But that's okay. I saw it as a challenge. What I needed to do was develop a technique for making batches without a machine.
The results was a hands-free technique. That's right. You can make no-knead bread start to finish without ever touching the dough. Add dry to wet. It's easier to combine.
Okay, first note, I put my dry ingredients on top of my wet. Now watch how easy it is to combine. You see, all you want to do is introduce the flour to the water. Don't have to stir it hard, just have to stir it. It'll combine by itself. Now it's coming together. Okay, now we need to get the flour off the sides. You do that by putting your spatula here, spinning the bowl. That's a lot easier than other techniques. Now I'm going to roll it. So I take the wet flour and it meets the dry flour. This takes a little more effort, but still very, very easy.
Form dough into a ball before taking it out of the mixing bowl.
After the dough is risen and more than doubled in size, I use a process called degas, pull, and stretch. The key is I do it inside the bowl. I use the handle end of a spoon, and I just simply draw all the dough in. I'll scrape the side, and now I conveniently have all my dough in a ball.
Dust dough with flour in the mixing bowl and it won't be sticky. Very helpful when you're making pizza.
Now that I conveniently have it in a ball, this process is called roll to coat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dust the outside of the dough with flour. The key is no more sticky dough.
Proof dough in a skillet when you're working with a hot Dutch oven.
You can also proof in a skillet. Note how I never touch the dough with my hands. Okay now, this is why you use a proofing skillet. See how easy that was?
When baking in a bread pan, proof the dough in the pan.
And you can proof directly in the baking vessel, like this. Just cover it with a lint-free towel and proof.
My dear friends, making bread can be fun. You can bake it in a skillet, make pizza and focaccia, sweet rolls and garlic knots. I even designed recipes and technique for baking no-knead bread in a poor man's Dutch oven. If you're unfamiliar with no-knead bread, you may want to start by watching World's Easiest Bread Recipes and Techniques for Beginners and Ultimate Introduction to No-Knead Turbo Bread. For easy access to videos, go to no-kneadbreadcentral.com. Thanks for watching.